Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Mr. Holder here again, and now I am in Adobe Illustrator. This is CS6, and in this little short video I'm going to show you how to do a basic file setup in Illustrator. So the first thing you want to do is click on the File menu and hit New, and this little dialog is going to pop up here, and of course, the name that you put in there is up to you what you want that name to be, but you can name the file if you want to, but you can always name it later when you save the file. What I always do is I'll start off under Profile first and work my way down. So I'm going to set the profile for print. And what that's going to do is put in some general parameters for print. For example, it's going to set the size to letter, and do things like set it to points and that type of thing, which is kind of unusual because normally, I would say if you're going to go to print, you should be measuring in units of inches. So we'll talk about that in a second. So what I'm going to do is just kind of walk you through the different parts of what this dialog is telling you. So giving it a name's obvious. Profile, there's different ones for different things that a designer or artist would be using when they're creating things in Illustrator that are typical things. For example, there's a video and film sort of template and setup for that. There's a web template if you're going to be fleshing out what a website layout would be, and then of course print, which is what our purpose is going to be for graphic design and that type of thing. So starting off with print, number of artboards, it's really cool. If you are doing a series of like designs, for example, if you're doing like a series of advertisements, vector-based advertisements in Illustrator, rather than having to create several different files, you can create artboards and have one file with all the artwork sort of separated out on artboards. So that's really cool to be able to do that. So I'm just, for the sake of showing you, going to set it to 2. Once you increase that past 1, it's going to enable the way you want your artboards to be laid out. So you can go grid by row, you can go grid by column, arrange them in a row, which is what I typically do, or arrange them in a column, or just change it from left to right or right to left if you want to do that. So I'm going to set my 2 artboards to go arrange by row, and I'm going to change this from points to inches, which is what I normally work in. If I were building something for the web, or I was going to be doing something for video editing, and and pixels were something that I would be using more or less for that, because we measure things in pixels when we're designing for the web, then I would change it to pixels. But for our case, for printing, I'm going to set it to inches. And you can see here, because letter size was chosen, that the width and height of a typical letter size sheet of paper is 8.5 by 11 inches. And it was letter was chosen because we initially started off with the print profile, but as soon as you start making changes to that print profile, it suddenly becomes custom. So for the sake of practicing this, if you go in and you set it to print and you change the units to inches, for example, it's going to suddenly say custom. So don't worry about that. It's because you're changing what that profile was set up by the developers of Illustrator. So your spacing still is dealing with your artboards. So what I'll do is probably set this to 0.5 inches or 1 whole inch in between each artboard. And that's a matter of preference. It really has no bearing on how your design is going to look in the end when you send it to a printer. But and then letter size, obviously, and then width and height is 8.5 by 11. I can change the orientation of that. This is obviously showing an orientation of portrait style. I can quickly switch over to a landscape style, and it will just swap the 2 numbers for me. I'm not going to worry about bleed or any of the advanced settings yet, but that's pretty much it. So this dialog is allowing you to name the file, choose a preset profile if you want to, allow a number of artboards that you can arrange with these settings here. You can set the spacing of those artboards. You can set up the size of the file, basically A4, A3, all the different standard paper sizes are there for you to choose from. If I were to choose a different profile, for example, and switch it to something like video and film, under size, I'm going to get a little something different with this. It's going to bring up the standard international standard of different sizes for video editing. but we're going to keep ours again for print for our sake, and units are going to be set to inches. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell on how to set up a file. When you hit OK, it's going to show you your file. You're ready to start working on this, and that's pretty much it. So we will see you back in the next video.